Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with the Gman. I'm your host, G. William Scott. And we're on this format. I see that one of our regulars is still having trouble.
What you say, Bishop? How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Bianchi? How you making out?
Well, I guess I'll make it. You know how it is.
I don't know
Top
why
our
Victor's having so much trouble getting
top
on here.
top our
But
head starting to look like Moses.
oh my goodness. You're a man. Man. Victor has everything that he needs to get on. I even gave him the instruction on how to get on. He downloaded StreamYard and he's still getting this message that he needs a Google account. I don't understand that. I don't think you need that. But somehow or another
Well,
he's
to
having
log
trouble.
on, sometimes you have to. You can use Google or I don't know.
Yeah, because everybody else gets on. I mean, it's just him and the people that he invites to come on to his show anyway. They seem to have trouble, most of them, but everybody else comes on. I don't understand it. But we're going to move on with our program nevertheless. We're glad to have you here. And in fact, you're the one that needs to be here. Keep in mind, our programs do air simultaneously on YouTube. So we do have a larger audience than normally would be the case if we was on Blog Talk. In that way, we have two vehicles. We have StreamYard that they're listening to, or and simultaneously they can also listen to this on YouTube. And I do have a YouTube account, and I have quite a few people on that account. Most of them aren't even people that are generally on this show. So we're going to begin our program tonight. From the beginning of 2024, I've been saying that this is going to be a year like no other. And you've been saying the same thing, Bianchi. I know as the year began, you could already see in the forecast, this is going to be a unique, unusual, very spectacular year. And when we add up the numbers in 2024, we get the number 8. 8 is the number of new beginnings in a year of unprecedented transitional events. And we're only in the 7th month. Stunning national news. Biden makes decision to pull out of the 2024 presidential race. The president's decision plunges the Democratic Party into an unprecedented scramble to anoint a new nominee at the 11th hour. President Biden will end his reelection campaign, he said in a statement released Sunday, sending shockwaves through the political world and plunging the Democratic Party into an unprecedented scramble to anoint a new nominee to face former President Donald Trump. Quote from Biden, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president," Biden wrote in a letter he posted to social media on Sunday afternoon. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. In a separate social media post Sunday, Biden endorsed his vice president, Kamala D. Harris, to replace him as his party's standard bearer ahead of its national convention August the 19th through the 22nd. Quote, "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year," Biden said in a post shared on X. "Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do it." Harris is the first woman, black person, and Asian American to serve as vice president, and now she has the opportunity to become the country's first woman female president. Several other top Democrats, including former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, quickly offered their endorsements of Harris as well. While thus far, former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama have not. Biden's exit leaves his party in an almost unprecedented position just months ahead of the November 5th election. What do you think of that, Bianchi?
Well, Democrats' cards are playing out. It's still up to tricks. I think people should not be distracted by the hype and go ahead and continue on with their plan. for bringing in a promising candidate that is being in Donald Trump. He's doing an excellent job. All the attempts that have been made to keep him from occupying the White House for dubious reasons, all the lies and
Exactly.
all of the innuendos
I'm gonna
just
put
don't
you
carry
on
no
this one.
weight. So Harris is, all of a sudden the office of the president is have became a gala and fashion show, beauty contest,
Mm.
and that there is an embarrassment just by itself. That's all I got to say.
I want to ask you this, Bianchi, and Victor's now on the air too. Good evening, Victor.
Good evening, Victor.
Hey Bishop, how you doing?
Oh, not bad. I I,
Hey
I, I
Bianchi.
I wanted to ask you both. Do you think, and I know Victor, you kind of alluded to it way back when this thing first, really way back when the election first began, for Joe Biden, because that's how long we've all been together, that and longer, but certainly during that period of time. And I always felt this way as well. I always felt this was the plan all along, that Joe Biden would serve for a period of time to just legitimize and get things moving, but that he eventually, because I believe that they always knew he had cognitive issues that were getting worse as the days and the years unfolded. So they didn't even see him as being coming in and serving, certainly not a second term. I don't believe they believe he was capable of serving a second term, and I believe they knew that when they chose him. What do you all think about that? What is your opinion about that?
Well, I think they had intentions on him being able to stay the course, but Father Time has things different. The way it was going until he had to get out in public and reveal himself in the presence of debates and so forth, maybe he shouldn't have done that. But that's up to the Republican Party to put forth whatever nominee that
The
they want.
Democratic, the Democratic Party,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, yeah,
yeah,
The Democratic Party.
right.
Uh, the people don't have anything to say to it. They just go through an ordeal called voting.
Now, once again, we're going to have a president. We're going to have a person elected possibly as president. Well, all of them, whoever would be the case, it would be the case whether it's Kamala or anybody else. Once again,
Well,
we're going into a situation where the people. She was not the people's choice during the primaries. In fact, she dropped out early because she knew that she could not win the primaries. She
And
knew
neither
that,
was he really.
and neither was
He
he.
wasn't.
No, because he was about ready. If it wasn't for South Carolina and that Jim Clyburn, he was defeated. Both of them were defeated candidates.
well, the fact is Kamala Harris
Yeah.
really is not
Oh no, sure.
eligible to be president. She's not a natural born citizen. Her
Well, wasn't she in
parents,
Canada? Wasn't she born in Canada up there?
no, she's born.
Quebec.
No, Canada. That's worse yet.
Oh yeah, I'm saying yeah, yeah.
She wasn't born in the United States. Her parents were not citizens. Her parents was in the country on visas.
Right.
Now she is a 14th Amendment citizen, but she's not a natural
Nationalized,
born
naturalized
citizen.
citizen.
And it would
Naturalized citizen.
require her parents to be citizens, not
Right.
naturalized, natural born.
Right. Right. Well, it looks like the way it looks now, it's just curious that Obama, neither Michelle nor Barack, so far, I'm sure they eventually acquiesce, but so far they are not. They're mute. They are conspicuously not endorsing Hillary, Bill, and others. Polanski, Nancy Pelosi, and Schumer and others are endorsing naturally Hakeem. They're all endorsing and supporting Kamala. But it's just interesting that the first, his vice president, in terms of Barack, his vice president's choice, which was Kamala, is not being so far endorsed by them. What do you think is behind that? That the Obamas are not gung ho. They may jump on the bandwagon, but right now they certainly aren't rushing to it. And that's the way they were with that's the way they
And
were with Biden. Barack took a long time before he endorsed his vice president.
Well, that's just a formality. That's all it is.
Okay. Next vice president.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Victor, you want to add your thoughts about it?
No, I was just saying I agree with Bianchi. Just a formality. Then again, you never know. All kind of shenanigans take place,
We certainly have seen that this year. We've certainly seen that this year more than any other. We've certainly seen that already.
No doubt.
And we're just in the 7th month. We still got a long way to go before November. A whole lot of stuff can happen,
No doubt.
as we've already seen. In the past month, we've had a disastrous debate, a former president shot, another president almost like a zombie throughout the whole period in a church and didn't know when to stand, what to do, or anything else. His wife had to help him down from the podium during the debate. Trump walked out by himself and walked away by himself, and poor Biden needed his wife to help him down the stairs. And still, she claimed right afterwards at the party. Now, remember, he's supposed to have a bad cold, but he went to a party right after the debate, and she applauded him. What a great job he did during the debate. I don't know what debate she was watching, but it certainly wasn't the one that I saw, and nor anybody in this country saw. It's so much so that the Democrats began to then question their being able to push him as the candidate. What it showed me that night, and I'll be honest with you, what it showed me that night is what I believed all along, that Biden is a front man, that there's others that are actually running the country, and he was the figurehead, and that was all it was, and that's why they allowed him to be that, because he was not going to challenge that. He knew his limitations, his gaffes that we saw. He didn't know the words to the beautiful and spacious sky. He couldn't tell his wife from his sister-in-law. He even called Trump his vice president. All the things just recently he called not what's the other boy's name, Zelensky. He called him Putin. And so we've seen over and over falling off of bikes, falling up the airline steps as he was getting onto a plane, falling up them not once, not twice, but 4 or 5 times before he finally got up to the top. So we saw it, and it was obvious. Obama had to take him off stage like he was his child. So we saw the decline, and I saw the decline early. They kept on calling it gaffes. But it was no gaffe when we saw that debate night, and it hasn't been a gaffe since then. His health is poor. His mental health is poor, and certainly now his physical health. I don't know how many times he's had COVID, over and over again. And once again, they say COVID does damage the brain. It can damage the brain. If that's the case, that may be a factor to why his decline was so rapid. We already saw a decline at the beginning.
You know how many times he got the shot?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he the first one. He wasn't the first one that got it, and still he got it right afterwards. So it shows you there was no guarantee. He's gotten it ever since. I don't know how many times the man's gotten this COVID virus, and he had multiple shots. He had the booster shot. He had the second shot, the third shot, and he's still getting the COVID as though he had no shots. So it shows you all that was just not but another gimmick, like you and Bianchi just said, another example of a gimmick. So one of the prevailing questions that will be asked of Kamala Harris and others within the Democratic Party is, when did the Democratic leadership, especially Obama, the Clintons, Harris, Pelosi, and Schumer, first became aware that Biden was suffering with some level of cognitive challenges? And let me tell you right now, the House is really looking into this seriously. It's not just fluff. They really want to know. Before or after he took office in 2001, was the plan all along to allow him to be the face of the party and the figurehead, while others, primarily the political and civilian power brokers, initiated policy, with the role of Biden as being the one who officially pushing the platform of the party platform and signing into law bills that supported such platform policies? These are questions that the Republicans and even the average Joe and Jill, no pun intended, will continue to ask. And what I am the most curious about is, how long did his wife and his son Jill and his son Hunter know? What are your thoughts? And we just discussed that a moment ago. Next, before we begin discussing our main topic for the evening, I would like to report the passing of Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. Sheila Jackson Lee was a long-serving African American Democratic Congresswoman. She was 74 years old. Quote, today with incredible grief for our loss, yet deep gratitude for the life she shared with us, we announce the passing of the United States Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of the 18th Congressional District of Texas, her family said in a statement Friday. Next, our discussion for the evening. This past week, the Republican, aka the Grand Old Party, the GOP, held its national convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. After a week of praising Trump and demonizing the policies of the Democratic Party generally, and the Biden-Harris administration specifically, by delegates, politicians, celebrities, and family members, the event ended with a 93-minute speech, the longest by a presidential nominee, from the former president and president Republican nominee for the office of President of the United States, Donald John Trump Sr. In the first half of the speech, Trump was very subdued, reflecting on his recent brush with death, and acknowledging that it was God who made it possible for him to be standing before those gathered at the convention and the tens of millions watching the event at home and elsewhere, after being shot a couple of days before the convening of the conference. He then, he called for the healing and unity of America. The second half of his speech was impromptu and off the cuff, and was less conciliatory in its tone, more typical Trump. He strongly described stark differences between the thriving state of America when he was president and the declining America under the presidency of President Joe Biden, socially, politically, and morally. He went over the party's platform, positions, and pledged to tear down all that Biden has done to destroy all that he did and during his 4 years in the White House. The convention concluded with Trump, Melania, his wife, and the rest of the Trump clan, minus his son Barron, standing with him on stage. Taking the speech in its entirety, do you think that it helped him, or do you think that it boosted the hopes of the struggling Democratic Party? How do you think it played to the independent and non-committed voters?
I don't think it hurt him.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it hurt him. It was good that he came out, conciliatory about, feeling somewhat humbled about what happened. But at the end of the day, he knows they're going to step up the vicious attacks and accusations over stuff that, let's just make it up. And that's what they do, so I don't know.
I think nothing he said was surprising. Nothing he said was,
right,
was exactly earth-shattering. Oh my God, I didn't know he felt that way, kind of thing. And I think you're right. I like how he started. He started conciliatory. He started humbly acknowledging, that save for the grace of God, he would not be there, just inches away from being murdered, actually, assassinated for real, and not just an attempt at it.
Bishop.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. The viciousness of the attacks from the media and everybody not liking his mentality, his personality, and all that stuff. How you got to defend yourself. These people are vicious, and politics in and of itself is vicious. It's always been that way. But in the case of somebody like Donald Trump, they didn't know how to handle it when he when he first ran, calling the media out for what it is. And understanding and realizing that the whole country is going to hell, and they report everything is fine. So they have to be called out on their bull crap, in my opinion. I don't have a problem with it.
I agree with you. And Trump is just not that kind of guy. The one thing I do like about Trump, who he is who he shows. He doesn't hide behind a facade of this diplomatic, the lies that many of them hide behind. They seem like they're good old boys, and they love us to death, and there's nothing that bothers them, and they're just scheming and conniving. And one thing about Trump, what you see is what you get. These other guys, they talk about defending democracy. I was just listening today about how the HHS, the Health and Human Services Department now is having this new regulation that will protect young people that believe that they are homosexuals, lesbians, and the like, the LGBTQ, ABCDEFG group, and once again, they're now they're formulating that they can, unless you endorse and support their wanting to be who they want to be, no matter what age they are, you cannot be a foster parent. So if you have any kind of stipulations about, for example, Christians can't be foster parent to children who have the propensity, or who believe, or who think, or who imagine themselves to be other than who God created them to be. If you try to steer them another way, if you try to influence them, in fact, it's to a point now that the man, that's a tongue twister. HHS, that's weird. I can't say that good. Department is even saying that it's almost criminal to try to stop a child from being who you think he is, and to say that you can't be a foster parent. You certainly can't adopt a child where you have a moral compass to you, that you have a problem with boys dressing up as girls. Now they're getting to the point that even in school, a teacher does not have to report if a child goes to school, if it's a girl child and she's wearing a dress out, because maybe the parents are against it. If she has in her book bag boys' clothes in the book bag, and she changes in the girls' room or the boys' room, you know how things are now. So almost everything is unisex. If you change into the boys' clothes, if you're a girl, the school, the teachers, the administrators do not have to report that to your parents. Now, what kind of country? What are we becoming? What are we becoming?
Sodom and Gomorrah all over
again. Every bit. Abortion they stand for.
The worst part about it is take the parents out of it. We don't care what you as parents think.
Right.
This is the agenda we're pushing. And to me, that's just absolutely insane. But
and I'm gonna tell you the truth, with the Kamala, you better watch it, because Kamala, when she was the attorney general over there in California, she arrested parents who had children. So don't be surprised that some of this, as her as president, if she does become president, don't be surprised that that would be the case here. And I want us to do a program on Kamala Harris I'm going to do it before August, before the August 19th through 22nd convention. I think people need to hear who she is in terms of what she was as a district attorney of San Francisco, what she was as a attorney general of California, what she's been as a senator and as a vice president, and what she hasn't been. She's been given great responsibility that she's fallen short of. She was supposed to be the czar of the border, and she did absolutely nothing to secure the border. Biden gave her a whole lot of responsibilities, and she faltered on each and every one of them. She has not been a successful vice president at all, in my humble estimation. And the only thing that you can say that she always broke the ties in the Senate, as being the president of the Senate, she broke the ties that gave the Democrats power in their policies to push through. That's the only thing she's done.
And cackled all the time.
Exactly. That's all she did, about everything. When she talked about parents being put in jail, she laughed about it. Now, what kind of life would a child have if that child parent is put in jail, you think it's going to be truancy now? It's going to sure enough be truancy then. Who's going to make sure the child goes to school? If the parent can't do it, who do you think can do it? So you're breaking up families because you don't think this and that. Well, I don't. She talked about she was educated and she gonna make sure these kids in California are educated too. And if it means she had to throw parents in jail, so be it. And she did do it. What about the gentleman that was found not guilty by DNA evidence and she tried to quelch it? She didn't want that to be known until the governor ordered that the man be released because of the DNA evidence.
I thought it was the courts that ordered that release.
That could very well be. I know it wasn't initiated by Kamala. She was trying to avoid that knowledge being put out. But that's what kind of person that they're looking for to lift up. See, the thing about it with this, and I know we're going to be talking to something else in a minute. We're going to talk about the Project 2025. But this is the kind of thing we do. And black women are just also gung-ho for the woman. It's all about being black and all that. This is where I'm having a lot of trouble. Every time you put up a black person, we automatically want it. Do we want any kind of black person in office representing us? Do we want any old body?
I don't.
She slept her way to the top. You know who she slept with? I can name the man. I'm not going to even talk about it on the program. Slept her way to the top. Come on now. And this is what I tell you. This country, I tell you, all you got to do is be black. That's all you got to be. And yet it's weird because people that really are African American were not supported by black folk. Shirley Chisholm wasn't supported by black folk, male or female. Jesse Jackson wasn't supported by black folk, male or female. But now you have others that come whose blackness is really in question. Certainly they're not American black. They're either from Kenya or Jamaica. Both of those are not part of the United States. People say, well, she's black through her father. Her father was Irish African, his heritage. And her mother is pure Hindi from India. So yeah, if you want to go by the old Jim Crow, old Southern rule, one drop rule, they all are, but Obama's not even that because he had nothing. But he's strictly African. He had no nothing like that. But that one drop rule, if you want to, but that's supposed to be segregation, isn't it? Wasn't that supposed to be a racist thing? We used to say it all the time when I was coming along, that one drop rule, you could be almost white, but you got that one grandmother or that one great-grandmother. We used to call them octoon if you had a great-grandmother, a quadroon if you had a grandmother, a mulatto if you had a mother or a father. I know all the names, man. I grew up with this stuff. Remember it too, Bianchi. They had names for all that. Musties.
Yeah, they did.
You remember all those names. Octoons, quadroons.
Yeah, it's very sad.
We're going back to that. So now we recognize anybody who has a drop of black blood in them. I was looking at her the other day, and she had a whole program about Indian dishes. She said that's what I grew up on. She said I didn't grow up on. Yes, she lied. She lied on breakfast. I thought she ate greens and fried chicken. She admitted what she really ate. She ate curry chicken and curry this and curry that because she made it in her kitchen and on a program she was on. She said this is the kind of food I feed my family. She's Indian. She's Asian. But because she has a complexion like us, or some of us, all of a sudden now she's one of us. Has done nothing for our people, has been a disaster for our people in California. Made it clear when they interviewed her, she was running for the office of president then, when they asked her, well, would you do anything specifically for black folks? She said, no. I ain't gonna do nothing specifically for no black folk. Yet every time you turn on TV, she's talking about the immigrants. She's talking about this folk, this group, that group. But not us. But yet she'll pull out that AKA, she'll pull out that Howard University, she'll pull out the fried chicken and the watermelon and the greens and the hot sauce. She'll put her out when it needs to be. Talk about Snoop Dogg and all this kind of stuff, black stuff. Do all those dances, right along dancing with him, going to church, getting slain in the spirit, all that mess that she does. It's all a game. And we fall for it every time. That's what irks me about our folks sometimes. We just fall for it over and over and over again. Obama did nothing for us. Harris going to do less than Obama, which means absolutely nothing. She's not even going to pretend she's going to do nothing. And we just fall for it because here is the first black woman. And they push that race stuff. They push it because they know that gets to us. Don't even look at the qualification. Everybody white don't vote for everybody white. They look at whether your policies, like Bianchi always says, the policies, your position jives with mine. They look at your history. They look at your past record. She has a record. She was a district attorney. She has a record as an attorney general. She has a record as a senator. She has a record as a vice president. You can look at her record. Why don't nobody look at the record? All you're doing is look at what the media and the political party called the Democratic Party is pushing in your face. And you say, yeah, you're right. I'm going to vote for it. And then like you always say, Bianchi, both, you and Victor both. And their hatred and venom toward Trump is just almost psychotic. If not psychotic. It's almost psychotic how greatly you hate this person enough to put someone who has obvious cognitive deficiencies and you push them to run a second term. He barely is making it through the first. I don't care what nobody says. That was a pathetic, sad situation to see the president of the United States up there on that debate stage. That was a tragedy and a travesty. And as a disabled person, I thought it was awful that you're pushing this man like that. It's a sin and a shame. A sin and a shame. And now they discarded him because they see that he's a defeated foe. So now they want to, they're like cannibals. They want to devour you. They just want to get rid of you. You put him up there in the first place, knowing that he wasn't able to do this, and certainly not continue on a second term. Can you imagine 4 more years when the man's 86, when he'll be? Come on, people. What's wrong with us? Then we fall for the okie doke one more time. You can't understand. You talk about we can't understand what Biden says. You can't understand what Kamala says either. She talks more gibberish and talk, and she says something but don't mean nothing. I hear her speeches and everything she said. I mean, it don't make any sense. I don't understand what she's even talking about. Yet we're all behind her. I saw today, you got pictures of her as beside the Statue of Liberty, talking about here is our freedom. Got another picture with her in the Captain America uniform. Come on. We are, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I got pastors. She stands boldly in favor of abortion. She stands boldly for the LGBT community. She stands boldly for things that are supposed to be, Christians aren't supposed to be involved in, and certainly not endorse and support and vote for. And we're voting for it, yet we still call ourselves Christian. I got a long piece on that. How can any Christian vote for evil at all? I'm talking about the lesser of two evils. What kind of mess are we doing here? What is happening with our country? Excuse me, somebody trying to call in. What are we doing? What are we allowing ourselves? Bianchi said it's really our fault. When all's said and done, it's really our fault as citizens, really. You know, and people that vote Democrat, I tell you the truth, you're talking about destroying democracy. They are destroying democracy in a real sense of the word. But so be it. Let's move on now with another issue that concerns many Americans is Project 2025. The Democrats and the establishment news outlets have been pushing the narrative that the Republican Party's platform will be heavily guided by the ultra-right conservatives' controversial Project 2025. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project, also known as Project 2025, is an initiative organized by the Heritage Foundation. Let me say it again. It's organized by the Heritage Foundation with the aim of promoting a collection of conservative and right wing policy proposals to reshape the United States federal government and to consolidate executive power should Donald Trump win the 2024 presidential election. The project asserts that the entire executive branch is under the direct control of the president under Article 2 of the United States Constitution and the unitary executive theory. It proposes reclassifying tens of thousands of federal civil service workers as political appointees. In doing so, advocates argue that the change would dismantle what they view as a vast, unaccountable, and mostly liberal government bureaucracy. The project seeks to infuse the government and society with Christian values. Critics have categorized Project 2025 as an authoritarian, a Christian nationalist plan to steer the United States toward autocracy. Its purpose: reshape the U.S. federal government to support the agenda of Donald Trump's second term if elected in November. Project 2025 envisions widespread changes in the government, particularly economic and social policies, and the role of the federal government and its agencies. The plan proposes taking partisan control of the Department of Justice, the DOJ, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the Department of Commerce, and the Federal Communication Commission, the FCC, and the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, dismantling the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, and sharply reducing environmental and climate change regulations to favor fossil fuel production. The blueprint seeks to initiate tax cuts though its writers disagree on the wisdom of protectionism. Project 225 recommends abolishing the Department of Education, whose programs would be either transferred to other agencies or terminated. Funding for climate research would be cut, and the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, would be transformed according to conservative principles. The project seeks to cut funding for Medicare and Medicaid and urges the government to explicitly reject abortion as health care. The project seeks to eliminate coverage of emergency contraception under the Affordable Care Act and enforce the Comstock Act to prosecute those who send and receive contraceptives and abortion pills nationwide. It proposes criminalizing pornography, removing legal protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity, and terminating diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI programs and affirmative action by having the DOJ prosecute, quote, anti-white racism. The project recommends the arrest, detention, and deportation of illegal immigrants living in the United States. It proposes deploying the military for domestic law enforcement. It promotes capital punishment and the speedy finality of those sentences. Former President Donald Trump has tried publicly to distance himself from Project 2025. Some conservative and Republicans also have criticized the plan for its stance on climate change and foreign trade. Other critics believe Project 2025 is rhetorical, a window dressing for what would be 4 years of personal vengeance at any cost, in addition to trying to undo, quote, most everything implemented during the Biden administration. Project's authors acknowledge that most of the proposals would require the Republican Party to control both the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. Some aspects of the plan have recently been ruled unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court and would face court challenges, while others are norm-breaking proposals that might survive court challenges. What do you think?
Bishop, what is some of the stuff that's on there? Because I never really looked it up. And the way I understood it was that really this was a call for going back to our constitutional form of government. Now, whether or not that was true, I don't know because I didn't look it up. And I said I was going to dive deep into it and try to do that and parallel it with the Agenda 2030, because this project 2025, they say it comes from the Heritage Foundation, but what people got to understand that there are some Republicans, or we call them rhinos or whatever, who are a part of the go along to get along crowd. A lot of money to be made from the military industrial complex, sending money overseas to other countries, coming back. So there's a lot of money these people can make if they just keep their mouth shut and go along with the plan. And so, sometimes they throw that stuff out there, and put it on Trump and say, well, he's a part of this, that, and the other. And when in actuality, he isn't. And in fact, I've heard some say that, he was not a part of this Agenda 2025, but it's a useful tool for the left because black folks are running around here terrified, saying that they're going to take us back to the 1950s. So I don't know what is.
Well, some Bianca, you want to chime in? I know you.
Well, the points that you read sound good to me. And it's just that organization or any organization can make recommendations. It'll be up to the administration to take them on. But doing away with the Department of Education, I think is a great thing. And they made mention that some of the some of the services that it provide will be transferred over to other agencies. They do have several good services that the Department of Education provide, but when you do that, then coming from the Department of Education, they want to demand that school districts buy into other stipulations that they want to impose on you for taking the federal money. So many things you mentioned, I agree with.
And I'm like you, Bianchi. There are some things I agree with, some things I don't. But because, like you say, there's nothing. I'm going to be honest with you. There's nothing I've seen out here. No matter what party, no matter what group, no matter what organization has it, I agree with everything they're saying. There's we just talked about some of the policies I know will be part of the Democratic platform in August. I diametrically oppose a lot of that. I oppose some of the things that are in here. I really do. Anything you throw at me, I'm going to say, okay, that I agree with, that I don't. Does anybody? And I like what you said, Bianchi. I mean, there's some things that you will agree with, some things you won't. But like you're saying, keep in mind, and that's what the Democrats want us not to hear. This is an organization called Heritage Foundation. It's not a government body. It has no power, just like they even admitted in their purpose. They can do none of this without there being, without the Senate and without the House of Representatives. They can do none of it. Absolutely none of it. They have no power in themselves to do any of it. You could write up something, Bianchi. Victor, welcome to Frank this evening. You could write up something that you want to see. That don't mean it's going to happen. First of all, because even if all of us come together, all of us right here come together and pull in everybody that's a part of our group, an extended group, from Victor's show to Bernard's show, my show, Judge Brown's show, all of us come together and we make up something. It could be logical, it could be whatever it is. Everybody's not going to agree with it, every bit of it. And some will agree with some of it. And so you throw it out there, wherever it lands, because like I tell people before, and I always say this thing about that's going to happen with Trump. This is a government that's check and balances. The president we're talking about autocracy, we're talking about monarchy, we're talking about dictatorship. How would that happen, Mr. and Mrs.? If we're supposed to be quasi democratic, we have a check and balances. The president just can't carte blanche do anything he wants. And so it's once again a scare tactic, because most of us don't know how this government runs, how this government works.
You got that right.
Oh, boogeyman Trump, boogeyman Trump. Let me tell you
Well,
something. Trump's better than the Republican Party in my mind.
yeah.
That's how I feel about Trump. He's actually better than the Republican Party. I'm more afraid of the Republicans than I am of Trump.
Yeah, the only reason I cater to more likely to the Republican Party because they carry issues more so than the Democrats, and I have voted for some Democrats on some particular issues. I was given the title as being an issuecrat, but what you made mention of in reading this recommendation by the Heritage Foundation, I have no problem with what I heard, and I would support it wholeheartedly. Yeah, Convention of State has something similar also, so it's nothing unusual for organizations to put things together.
But the scare tactics, they use these things as though this is like a government agency or something. But this is how it's going to be because these people say that's what we want it to be. It's just and we are the worst people. I don't know what it is. We got this boogeyman mentality that our savior is always going to be the Democrats, and the boogeyman is always coming from the Republicans, whether it's Trump or the party as a whole. It's just you have to be able to like just like you said, Bianchi. There are some things certain in the local government, even in the state government, even federal. There may be some federal persons that you vote for policies. If a policy sounds good, no matter who's proposing it, I'm going to vote for that because I agree with that. I don't care. I have voted for Republicans before. Because I like what that person stands for. I read what they were about. I like the proposals. I like their policies. I like their agenda, whatever the case may be. And I voted for that. So
the thing though, when legislation is crafted, sometimes those pieces of legislation are 400 pages, 500, 1,000
right.
pieces of legislation, and it's got all kind of garbage in it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the thing that bothers me. Rather than having, like Bianchi has said a long time ago, a standalone bill, these bills should be standalone. If you're going to have a health care bill, well, you can't have you shouldn't have something in there where the IRS is involved.
Right. Yeah. And they do that all the time. That we call that port, adding port to the bill. Nothing to do with the bill at all. But you name the bill something that everybody will agree to. You name it something everybody agrees to. And inside the bill is all kind of crap. Really. It's called like it is. All kind of crap. All kind of mess in the bill. Things are going to tear you down. But you voting for the name of the bill. Equal rights for everybody. Yeah, but then in that bill is all kind of crap going on. Equal right for everybody. And that means the people in Ukraine and Israel and Timbuktu and, over across the street and every place else. You voting for this and you getting that. And maybe a little bit of what you want is in there, and you're going to get a little bit of money for that. The rest of the money goes to all the other stuff. The port.
Well, the federal government shouldn't be involved in some of these things anyway. They don't have the constitutional authority to be. It's just something that these parties are trying to put forth, and there's no way to pay for them.
Now we talked about 225. Let's talk about the Republican platform. Now let's see how closely it relates to that and some of the things that are different. Let's say if they just photocopied 225 and put it in here, 2025 and put it in the platform. I saw a lot of differences in the platform than was in 225. But let's go through it. The 20 promises to the American people. Seal the border and stop the immigrant invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. End inflation and make America affordable again. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax tips. No tax on tips, rather. I'm sorry. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Next, end the weaponizing of government against the American people. Next, stop the immigrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Next, rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Next, strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Next, keep the United States dollar as the world's reserve currency. Next, fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Next, cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Next, cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, and or political content on our children. Next, keep men out of women's sports. Next, deport pro-Hamas radicals and make college campuses safe and patriotic again. Next, secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Finally, unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. Note, the National Republican Party platform, unlike 2016, has omitted the central issue of abortion from it. The Republican National Committee has softened its stance on abortion in a draft measure adopted by a committee on Monday, agreeing to a platform that no longer calls for federal limitations on abortion. The platform specifically calls on states rather than Congress to weigh in on issues pertaining to life. It cites the 14th Amendment, which grants equal rights to all U.S. citizens, asserting that the states are therefore free to pass laws protecting those rights, quote unquote. This position that Trump and the platform of the party embraces is diametrically different in some areas than what Project 2025 adheres to. So that is the official.
I could agree to all of that.
Okay, that's the Republican platform.
I could agree to all of that, because at the end of the day, you know, our government, one of the things that our government certainly is responsible for is the common defense of this country. And, you know,
gentlemen, what's going on?
They're doing, you know, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you want to help people out who are poor and needy, you know, folks who need some help. That's fine. I have absolutely no problem with that. You know, and this is why I say, no matter who the Democrats push, whether it's they're going to continue with Kamala Harris or whether they're going to throw somebody else up in there, you know, what are they going to do differently that's already been done? And, you know, if the Republicans really are serious and they want to implement plans like that, I think it's something that most of what's on there, a lot of people would probably agree to. You know, the inflation, trying to save the American dollar, you know, and keeping it as the reserve currency. You know, these are the things that benefit everybody. So, yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of most of, if not all of what you just read.
Okay. That's the official Republican platform. Don't let anybody fool you into believing that 2020 to 2025 is their official. They made their official. As you can see in certain areas, it's diametrically different. It's diametrically different. And so, what do you think, Bianchi, of the Republican platform? That's what they're running on. This is the platform they're running on. Don't let
Yeah,
anybody.
that's a good starter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have? 20 items there. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
20.
starter. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I have the Republican platform in its entirety, breaking down the items, how they're going to do this. This is the overview.
Absolutely.
And I got that as well, but that's just too time consuming. But we do have that, and I may even send it all to you guys, just for you to see it and peruse it. Exactly how they're going to implement it. So it's not just throwing these ideas out with no plan to implement it. It's a 10-point, it's 10 chapters in this, and I'm going to send this to you guys so you can look at it, peruse it, and then see exactly how they're going to implement everything I just said with the 20 points that I just made that the Republican Party platform stands on. So don't let people okey doke things and throw things out there that have no basis for a fact. This is the Republican platform. Some of it may be similar to 220, 2025. A lot of it's not. Let me tell you right now, but I read both of them. A lot of it's not. But don't let people boogeyman you into believing that's what's going to be pushed if Trump is elected president. That's not what's going to be pushed. This is what's going to be pushed, what I just read to you. So they can bring out the boogeyman if they want to, but we got to know the truth. Like Poyanka always talk about, we got to educate, not just the kids. We got to educate ourselves. You can't educate nobody if you ain't educated. We have adults need to be educated on some things. We need to start reading some things, and then we can teach our children things. But right now, we just as much in the dark as anybody else. Somebody done pulled my cord out. My aide done pulled my cord out here. So I'm hoping I can keep this program going for at least another few minutes anyway. Pull the cord out, so the thing may be gone in a minute. But don't worry about it. We're going to keep on going as long as we can. We're doing good. I'm enjoying this interacting. The next thing we want to talk about, Secret Service Director Kimberly Chattel testifies, but we know what happened there. When I first wrote it, that's what was happening. Since then, she's resigned, quote, with a heavy heart after Trump rally shooting. U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Chattel resigned Tuesday in connection with this assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, telling staff that she, quote, took full responsibility, according to a copy of a letter sent to agency staff obtained by the Washington Post. Quote, in light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart that I have made the difficult decision to step down as your director, wrote Cheadle, who has been under intense scrutiny to resign from lawmakers of both parties. Next, U.S. Appeals Court blocks all Biden student debt relief plan. A federal appeals court on Thursday blocked President Joe Biden's administration from continuing to implement a new student debt relief plan designed to lower monthly payments for millions of Americans. The St. Louis-based 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals granted a request by 7 Republican-led states to put on hold parts of the U.S. Department of Education's debt relief plan that had not yet already been blocked by a lower court. Next, Hunter Biden argues his conviction should be tossed, citing judges' ruling in Trump document case. Attorneys for the president's son also pointed to Justice Clarence Thomas's concurring opinion in the Supreme Court's Trump immunity decision. Hunter Biden is using a pair of judicial opinions that were favorable to his father's political rival to argue his conviction on gun charges should be tossed out. In federal court papers filed in Delaware, Hunter Biden's attorneys asked the judge who oversaw his gun trial to dismiss the case against him because of a federal court ruling in Florida dismissing the classification documents case against former President Donald Trump. I tell you, this man, I tell you, he'll compare that. My Lord. Hunter Biden was convicted last month of 3 felony counts tied to possession of a gun while using narcotics. His sentencing date has yet to be set. What do you think?
Hunter needs to be in jail. Simple as that. And there we go with that nepotism and backroom deals. That's Joe Biden and Joe Biden needs to be in jail too for the bribery attempts that he done with the Ukraine.
Absolutely, absolutely. You and I both heard that. Many people have heard it, but I mean, we've actually discussed it in the past about that. That was a travesty. That was awful. Trying to get your side
And
in trouble and threatening a prosecutor and a nation, holding
yeah,
back monies for them allocated by the government, not by you, Mr. Vice President, by the government, Mr. Vice President. You have no power to give him a dime.
and
That
making
wasn't
it
for you.
known that Barack Obama gives his approval.
Yeah, and he should be looked at with a scrutinizing eye, to me. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Biden's
you got to go
COVID.
after all these people and go after them hard. That lady, she needs to be should have been fired and further
Yeah, that's right.
investigated for
Come on now,
criminal
Bianchi.
activities.
Thank you, Bianchi. Waiting for her to resign. She should have been fired on the spot.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. But they're gonna once again, but see how they do it? They finagle. They'll give it an opportunity. Well, why don't you just resign and look better on your resume so you can get a job somewhere else in the government? Biden's COVID diagnosis came at the worst possible time for his campaign. President Biden's COVID diagnosis on Wednesday afternoon could hardly have come at a more devastating time. Not only did it cut short a 2-day campaign swing in Nevada, but it threatens to deepen Democratic anxieties over and resistance to his reelection campaign, and we all know the results of that. He did end his campaign seeking the second term as the 46th president of the United States. Global tech outage eases after widespread disruption. New focus seen on risk. Services from airlines to healthcare, shipping, and finance were coming back online on Friday after global digital outage disrupted computer systems for hours, laying bare the vulnerability created by the world's shift toward interconnected technologies following the COVID-19 pandemic. After the outage was resolved, companies are now dealing with backlogs of delayed and canceled flights and medical appointments, missed orders, and other issues that could take days to resolve. They also face questions about how to avoid future blackouts triggered by technology meant to safeguard their systems. That was something. I tell you, this week has been really something else. I tell you. And of course, now we had today. Anybody know about what happened? We know that Netanyahu, that situation there. He spoke, I think, this afternoon. I didn't. I didn't really follow up on it. I wasn't feeling the very best today, so I got arrested today. So I didn't really follow up on it. Does anybody have any reports about what he? Did you hear about it? Did you listen to it? Did you know some of the backstory to it, or some of the reports about it? Victor or Frank or
He's
Bianchi,
another
anything?
he's another criminal that needs to be punished. The United States shouldn't give that government not one single dime.
Hmm.
And you heard what he said. He said if the United States would hurry up and give them the tools that they need, being weapons, they can hurry up and get the job done. What job? So when you're talking about getting the
Wow.
job done, that means there was some planning in
Oh yeah.
preparation for the job. And see, it's not an event that all of a sudden it appeared. This is a planning. Hurry up and get the job done. It's planned. It's a scheme, as they all have been. It's never going to be peace. You get out of those people's land.
And what you know they're not going to do. What you know they're not going to
Well,
do.
in due time. It's only a matter of time.
Throughout human history, throughout human history, we have always had wars over land. Always.
Oh yes.
It's going on now with China and Taiwan and other regions across the globe. At the end of the day, Hamas attacked them once Joe Biden released that $6 billion. And in Israel, whether you like them or not, they hit back. And they've always used those Palestinian people as cannon fodder. And then they hide behind them, and they get folks sympathy towards the Palestinians trying to make it appear as though this was, maybe it was, I don't know, but I never ever hear people calling out Hamas. Never. PRK, I never hear you calling out Hamas.
Well,
Never. Sorry about
Hamas,
this.
Victor, is when you have Hamas is when you have and they're not a government, it's a people. It's an organization that's representing the
And so is the
people.
Palestinians. They're
No,
not.
the
They,
Palestinian
they
is
don't have a standing government. They never had a standing
no,
government.
that's not true. They did have a standing government. Oh, Britain put a mandate on Palestine.
Right.
Britain
That's
put
right.
a mandate on Palestine, like they put mandates in other countries around the world. This has nothing to do with a Bible. This is something that happened in realistic.
Once it was
Britain
released,
had no
that's when it
business
happened.
putting a mandate on Palestine. The same thing happened with Vietnam. When the Vietnamese ran the French out, the French put the French sold Vietnam to Japan. The French sold Vietnam to Japan. Britain also had a mandate on Vietnam. They had a mandate on the Sudan. That's what they done. And it wasn't until you had that mandate, you had Arthur Balfour and Theodore Herschel coming up with this idea that they want to have a place of return, a return to some place that they never had been to. Here's the case. Well, why was they just trying to make that same uh, effort with Uganda?
That was the first country they want to go to.
That was the first. You're right. They was gonna say Uganda is a place of return. Return whose return? Then they revert to the Bible and say that the Bible gave us this land. If they had went in Uganda, I'd be over there fighting them. That ain't nothing but pure white supremacy. That there is. Them Europeans had no business forming that government in that Palestine's land. It started off as Lebanon, then it went to Cana, then it went to Phoenicia. The Philistines, always the people always have been there. What you call Carthage was Phoenicia. Carthage is Phoenicia on steroids. The Phoenicians was here in the United States, or shall I say this country, long before anybody else. They put up these stone monoliths there in Massachusetts. I can't think of the name of the city. They there today. And they geographically, world geographically, with GPS line up with Stonehenge, and the line goes all the way over to Lebanon. You can see it today.
Well, it's been a battle over there from since time immemorial, and it looks like it's going to be a battle
And it's
until
gonna
time immemorial
always
yet.
is it's gonna always be at the end of the day.
Yeah,
This
it's
has
going to
been
be
going
long
on
you in their
forever
land.
and a day.
I don't blame them. You had presidents. You had Nasser.
Oh yeah, I mean
Abdul Nasser. Abdul
it's
Nasser
just going to
told
happen.
Abdul Nasser told Benegan, he said, you might have built bagels, but you didn't build pyramids. They lied. Who else? One of them said
Well,
that
who
you
built
left
the
here
pyramids?
black and came back
Yeah,
white.
who built the pyramids?
Who built the pyramids? The records are
Who
all
built the
there.
pyramids?
Not only is the records there, you got there alongside the Great Pyramid, which is Khufu. Khufu came out of the south. Matter of fact, through all the building periods, the leadership came out of the south. You had intermediate periods when they was at war. And you can see the contracts, you can see the housing where the workers worked, and also the templates for the stones that was quarried elsewhere and brought there and shaped and formed there alongside the Great Pyramid. Those templates are still in the ground today.
Well, it's something that's been around for a long time. As we
It,
say, and we who do read the word and believe the word of God, we know that it's going to be, that's where the battle's going to be. That's where the end's going to all happen, right in that same region. So,
the
I mean, we,
battle there, you had Ursa Ma'at Septepin Ra Rameshu Mary Amen wage war in that area against the Hittites. The Hittites is present day Turkey. His God, his God caused him to win that battle. Then you had another Sultan. They wasn't called kings, they was called Sultan. His name was Menkaperah Tahuti Mays. He waged battle in there. That was Egypt's control. It was their buffer. Menkaperah Tahuti Mays fought a battle there in Megrito. Megrito is still there today. And he beat that land up so bad, people said it looked like it was the end of the world, end of time. And that's why they got the term Armageddon from. And I've been in all them temples. Been on dig sites all the way down to the first cataract at Hadi Wafa, where the garbage has been dated going back over 65,000 years ago. I can show you pictures of it. People come up with these ideas and ain't been out of their own daggone neighborhood. You go over there and see that stuff if you can afford it. I'm lucky. I could afford it. I could go over there and be gone for a long time.
well, we've had an education tonight in terms of that aspect to it. So we want to
Well, but Bishop, it's
go
just,
on.
it's like you stated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is history, but people always write a certain story. I believe the Bible. I don't care what Pianki believes. At the end of the day, I believe the scripture and what we see happening. And remember, Christ, our Lord Yeshua, told them that you will be hated of all nations. I'm not saying that every person over there is the real Hebrews or the real Jews or whatever the case might be. And that's why he said, allow the wheats and the tare to grow together.
No.
When the time comes, he would do the separation.
He was separated away from the tare.
They're fighting over the land because the Lord told the Jews that told Abraham, wherever the soles of your feet trample upon, that land I will give thee. And so when the time comes, according to the scripture, when the time comes, when that land is started giving back to the real people of that land, and they're going to look like everybody from across the globe. It ain't going to just be one skin tone.
Oh, no.
That's not, they have always been ethnocentric. See, you guys, Almond, they have always been ethnocentric. The people in the South and the people in the North, we're talking about Upper Egypt, what we call Upper Egypt is the Cushites. Then you got Lower Egypt, which is the Egyptians, which are a mixed bunch of people. They mix with Arabs. Almond said he was against mixed marriages. That's why he had an immaculate conception with Hatshepsut's mother, because he was against mixed marriages. He wanted a pure solar child. The Cushites did not get along with the Egyptians because they mixed. They weren't mixed with whites. Wasn't no whites then. White skin on this planet is a mutation that's only about 6,000 years old, 6 to 8,000 years old. And to say that some God, if he come in there, he gonna have to fight. That's what we have to say. They ain't taking Egypt. Egypt was a black land. Everything says it was black. In the 1972 UNESCO conference, check out a Diop and Theophile Obenga went up against about 20 Egyptologists around the world. And they put information showing that Egypt, known as Kemet, was a black land. It was black. It was no white people then. Akhet, who you call the Sphinx, is Haru on the horizon. That goes back over 15,000 years. I've sat in Nubians' homes. You sit in the living room, Bishop, and you look up, it's open to the sky. Why is that, Pianki? Because it never rains.
Mm.
It never rains. They don't have no ceiling in their living room. People come
Well,
up with all
I
crazy.
want to.
Kind of sound like the days of Noah.
Yeah, and that's
Well, yeah,
amen.
you want to talk about Noah?
The days
That
of
there is
Noah.
another myth. Had well, look at all these animals
Okay, it's
that
a
they
myth.
digging up.
Everything
Oh,
you say, everything you say, come from the Bible is a myth. Yeah.
All right, well, let me ask you this then,
And the
Victor.
issue,
well, we're not gonna. We're not gonna. We're
No,
not gonna. I
I
mean,
tell you
I mean,
what,
to be honest with you,
you and me debate that, and you bring your facts on what you think out of the Bible is true, and I show you where it's not true based on today's present science. It is a myth.
you're
well,
gonna tell me, you're gonna tell me that King Nebuchadnezzar never existed. He was
What
never.
what did he do?
He ruled Babylon.
Babylon is present day. Babylon is present day Iraq.
Came
right,
in and
right,
defeated him.
right. And the
Who did
Persians
he,
are Iran.
were the
who did he defeat? What did he do? What did he build? You say that with Hebrews. Hang on for a second. Where is they
Well,
sold?
gentlemen, this is not. We're not going to be. I mean, because Victor, you know how I feel about all this.
If
I'm a
it,
Bible
now
man.
nobody
Yeah,
can
so
when you can have all the beliefs you want. I agree with you, but when you try to take away the history of that black African built nation that we call Egypt and Kemet, then I'm going to fight you.
well, nobody said, but that's not. But that's not even
That's
part
what
of.
they do.
But that's
That's
not even
what they
part of the
do. They
promised land.
said,
That's not a.
wait a minute.
That's not a promised land
Jews did
area.
not build no damn pyramids. Mary and Joseph did not hide in Egypt. How in the hell are you going to have two white people with a white baby that's going to hide in an all black nation?
Well, I don't think he was. I think everybody in that area is about the same hue. I don't think he was white. I don't think he had blue eyes and blonde hair. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's a
And listen, Bishop,
yeah.
unless you're looking at the northern region of Africa, like places like he said, Egypt, Libya, as places like that. But when you start looking in Iran, when you start looking in Syria, Lebanon, and some of these other places, these folks can come to the United States of America and pass for Caucasian. They weren't all that dark back then.
I don't know. I mean, my thing is,
Well, let's just put it like this. Do you believe that white skin is a mutation? It's not saying it's bad. That's what nature does. And science, live science, tell you that it's a phenomenon of 6,000 to 8,000 years. That there should tell you something. So if the skin wasn't white, what color was it?
The 6,000 to 8,000 years time period that you're talking about is the same time period of Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
It was no such thing as no Shem, Ham, and Jacob. You can go today.
Okay.
You can go today.
well, this is now becoming.
Wait a minute.
But this is
You
coming a
can go
biblical discussion. I mean,
Yeah,
a
you got
theological
biblical
discussion.
history and you got real life history. You can go today and you can see the King's List there. The King's List, and I can't think of the name though, in Dendera, at the Temple of Dendera. There's a king list that shows each and every Negas king of Egypt that goes back over 6,000 years. None of these other people was there. Matter of fact, the funny thing is that it was in their chenille, what the French call a cartouche. I have a chenille. It has my name and history in it. My name on my birth certificate is Pianki Bancoli, Akin Wale, Kofi, Mega Egbe, Nefakara. The name meant something. Ursa Ma'at Ray Septepera, Rameshu Mary Amen. Rameshu Mary Amen. Loved by
God
Amen.
bless you. God bless you, married gentlemen too. But forgetting, forgetting. Yeah, God bless you, married gentlemen too. But the
Loved
final
by
thing I want
Amen.
to talk about tonight, because we're almost through.
You got
For
anything
real.
else you on that? What you had on the 2025 is good. That's why I think
Yeah,
it's
that's what
great.
I want to talk about that, and we're gonna, if we want to talk about it more, but I want to deal with this final thing, in a personal interest story. My wife brought this to my attention. Of video shows Illinois police fatally shoot woman in her home.
That's
Illinois,
ridiculous, ain't it?
Illinois police have released body cam footage, and I saw the footage too. It
Mm-hmm.
is visible. I'm going to figure out how to do this on StreamYard too.
That man, that cop needs to be given death penalty.
Yeah. Oh, you know about it. Showing
Yes,
the chaotic moments that led to the fatal shooting of a woman who had called 911 to report. Now, she called the cops to report a suspected intruder in her home. The killing of Sonia Massey, 36, over Independence Day weekend has led to criminal charges against the officer who opened fire and drawn condemnation from the White House. A Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy, Sean Grayson, has been sacked from the police force and charged with murder and official misconduct. He has pled not guilty to the charges. As of Monday, he was being held without bond. Daniel Fultz, a lawyer representing Mr. Grayson, declined to comment when contacted by the BBC. On Monday, Illinois State Police released body cam footage that shows the officers shouting at Ms. Massey to put down a pot of boiling water as they point their pistols at her. The incident in the early hours of 6 July began when Miss Massey called police to her home in Springfield, 200 miles south of Chicago, to report that she believed that someone had broken into her property. Officers followed her inside when Miss Massey entered her home and watched as she searched for her identification. In the video, Mr. Grayson sees a pot sitting on a lit stove, gestures towards it and says, "We don't need a fire while we're here." Miss Massey walks to the stove to remove the cooking utensil. She and Mr. Grayson appeared to laugh, which he actually did laugh. I heard it, over the pot of, quote, steaming hot water, before she twice says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," unquote. "You better," and then he cursed, "not, or I swear to God, I'll shoot you in your effing face," Mr. Grayson says. Then he draws his pistol as he shouts for her to drop the pot. She says, "I'm okay, I'm sorry," Miss Massey is heard saying before she ducks. After shooting her, the officer says, "What else do we do? I'm not taking hot effing boiling water from any end."
Well, yeah, and too, Bishop, she was cooking.
Right.
She was cooking.
And he told her, I don't want the place to be burned down.
She said that she had relieved somebody was outside the home.
Right.
That's what you never do. Don't let them police officers in your house.
That was her mistake. Yeah.
She was cooking. She was not talking about throwing hot water.
No,
wait a minute. Here's the thing. If they came there and the pot was already on the stove cooking, boiling water for whatever else ingredients she was put in,
right.
How is it that she was preparing to throw water on him?
It was already boiling.
It was already there on the stove.
And he told her to put it out, but he don't want no fire.
He made the comment that the turn the burner
exactly.
off.
That's what he said. Exactly what he said.
Did she pick to move the pot over to another location on the stove? And this idiot is thinking that the distance between them. How you gonna throw water on somebody? That wasn't even her intention.
No.
And see, this is where you need to have people that understand the culture of the people that they're dealing with. Because when she made the comment about "I rebuke you," that there is something that's traditional and that is common.
Amen. There you go, Bianchi.
That's traditional and common amongst an ethnic group of people in that area. And here you come,
and all that stuff.
not knowing it with your ignorance. Now you don't kill somebody. You need to face the death sentence. That's what you need to say. And if he's in prison, I hope the people in prison give him what he deserves.
All kinds of names. I'll effing shoot you if you throw that effing stuff in my face.
That in and of itself is demonic.
He said they're gonna shoot her right in the face, and that's what he did.
That's right. He is demonic.
He is demonic. Now you're talking about real. Now you're talking about. There you go. Now we ended on that note because that's true. That's what he was. Truly demonic.
He needs to be lawsuits. He needs to get the electric chair. Then the family need to sue his assets, his estate personally, and take every damn thing they got.
That was awful.
Dumb fool. I get
Brought
sick
him,
and tired of the
but she
crazy
called
mess.
the man about somebody intruding, and they ended up being intruders. They were the intruders coming into her house and then shoot her. Kind of
And
foolish.
where's the activist at? I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. See, there you go. I haven't heard. Teresa brought this to my attention. She saw it on YouTube.
Yeah, where are the activists at? And then make it write the stuff up, act like she was preparing boiling water to throw it on him.
Exactly.
He
No,
was cooking.
that's right. And he told her, "I don't want no fire here. Go up and take that off the stove." And they were laughing as she was taking it off the stove. He was laughing. All of a sudden, then, only because she said, "I rebuke in the name of Jesus," he takes it as a threat.
And when she mentioned the name of Jesus, that brought the
There
demons
you
out
go.
in him.
That's it.
That brought the demons out of him.
Yep. I rebuke you. Yeah, because now she's rebuking him. That's what that drives demon out, right, Victor? That's what drives him out. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you.
People in that culture use them terminology all the time. I hear it all the time.
Oh, I've heard it all my life. So is Victor.
There's nothing wrong with it. It is nothing wrong with it. When you in another person's domain and you bring your lack of knowledge, your lack of education, your lack of dealing with the people that you're interacting with, then you become the problem.
Exactly.
Don't kill somebody.
Go on, Victor.
See, and here's the thing, though, and I've always wondered about this because you hear people talking about it throughout the years. CIA agents joining local police departments, and was Darren Chauvin CIA? Do we know that for sure? Was where they need? Because see, with this climate that we're living in, these people are losing it. The globalists are losing it. The political elites in this country are losing it, and it's so particular the Black and Hispanic support for their party, and so they need something. And I told y'all, there's going to be, I personally believe, something is going to happen where somebody might go into another church and shoot up a bunch of black people.
I believe that's going to happen
because they need cannon fodder to bring the country down. They want their satanic world order, and they're going to stop at nothing, even if it means killing off some people and saying, well, these are a bunch of Trump supporters out here doing that. This is what they do. These people know January 6th was FBI and Homeland Security officers all up in there creating all that problem. FBI assets. They know that. And the people know it.
What Americans should do is wear their guns. That's what they should do. Wear your weapon. And make sure that your wives, children have the safety training and the situational shooting training. And then get your weapon and get your insurance on it. It's very cheap, probably $150 a year. Provides you everything you need. Because when you shoot somebody, even when you're in the right, they want to come back and sue you.
Oh, yeah.
And see, in Indiana, see that this cop that came out with him should have shot him. Should have shot him in the head. Because at that point in time, he was violating that person's civil rights. In Indiana, when a police officer come into your house under them circumstances and they are committing a crime against you, you got a right to use deadly force. It's in the state law. That's what it should be. You got an idiot.
It should be.
That is about as grievous I can see. The only other time I can think of something grievous when that guy was sitting in the street working with that mentally ill child, and it's another idiot come up and shoot him.
My God. My God. This world going, Victor said it, he's going, we're going the way of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's just the kind of stuff that happens.
You know you're in the right, and they come out, and then you're going to have to do what you got to do. You're going to have to do what you have to do.
To protect yourself in your own home. Here you go. All you asking them to do is you hear some noise outside. You just want the police to come, and they shouldn't even come inside. You should have been investigating outside. She didn't say nothing was inside. She said something on her property. She was already inside. She would have known something was inside the building.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? What's going on?
Hey, Frank, how you doing?
All right. How about yourself, man?
Right, we talking about this lady. Hey, you heard about it?
Yeah, I did a show on it last night, man. I just think there's a lot of symbolism going on behind it, man. I'll be honest with you. And the thing is, too, you got to remember, it came out on the 6th, and then it was interesting how, they really started pushing it on the 22nd. You know what I mean? Right when they announced that Kamala Harris is going to be was going to run for president. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There's a lot of little numbers, man, going coded numbers and stuff like that too, man. I don't know, man, but I just think as far as like whether what I think about it or not, you know what I'm saying? I just don't understand why they went in their house. That didn't make any sense.
Well, she thought that somebody was in her house. Now, from what I understand, I thought that she thought that somebody was casing around the property.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have let him in the house. And
yeah,
then
right,
what
Bianchi,
you should do
I'm
is
looking
go
at the
over the article.
Bianchi, but you're right. She reported that she believed someone had broken into her property. So she did believe that someone was in the house.
Yeah. And then, too, what you need to do is dissect the stories and see how they try to slant the story and throw the responsibility on the woman.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, just think about it. Right. What damn sense does it make that she gonna prepare a hot pot of water to throw on the police, and she just called the police for them to come out and investigate?
Yeah, that would have made no sense at all. She was already cooking. She was preparing something to eat when this all happened. So she was already boiling the water. It wasn't for no police officer. She was boiling water like anybody does. I don't know how many times I boil water preparing for something.
Where's the Congressional Black Caucus at? Where are they? Are they at? Where's any other in
Where's
Illinois?
Al Sharpton? Where's Al Sharpton? Where's Ben Crump and all the rest of that bunch?
Well, Ben Crump is actually representing her. That's why I was kind of looking at this story kind of weird.
He need to sue the hell out of them. It's just one case where the police officer looked in the window and seen this mother and son was on the couch, and she had cooked something and burned kind of, and it created smoke. So she opened up the back and front door to let the smoke out.
Right.
So here comes the police officer, look in the window and shot through the window because I think he's seen her playing with the son, and the gun was on the table or something like that. What kind of crazy mess is that?
And see, they act like black people can't have no kind of rights or no kind of Second Amendment rights or no kind of. So this is what this is pushing to. I think this is going to push towards people trying to vote Democrat. I think this is another thing too, but at the same time, I just think that the Democrats or the Republicans, neither one of them are going to do anything.
Democrats all these criminal crime and stuff going on in these cities is going on in Democratic controlled cities.
That's true.
That's where they are.
That's true. Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, LA, Houston, all of them are black run. Every one of them, every one you just named. New York, name them. Just name them.
That woman mentioned Jesus' name.
Oh yeah, that's
something kicked off in that devil.
That's
what he was. He's a devil.
As we start cussing and everything, he was laughing a minute before. Now he's starting cursing.
And what did he think she was going to do? Perform an exorcist? I mean, you got to think about all those things and bring them out, and don't be afraid to say it. The man was a devil at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
How you gentlemen doing?
Hey, Shaq, how you doing?
What up?
Shit.
Awesome. Not to cut you, Bianchi, man, but you're correct, man. Because we did some investigations. It wasn't that hard to do, but that officer, sheriff, whatever it was, that tattoo was a Satanism tattoo. So she seeked. You right, Bianchi. I think she
saw that. That's what she saw.
She saw that tattoo on him and saw probably whatever that spirit that was on him. Because immediately when she opened the door, she already knew this is gonna be trouble.
And he shouldn't be allowed to wear no tattoos like that anyway in that type of profession. Hell, they make everybody else take. What did the tattoo mean?
Probably look like a
it's
race,
it's a
one of them racist gangs, cop gangs.
yeah, I think it's a sadism tattoo. You can look it up. I forgot the name of it. It's like some type of compass type thing, but it's got the pitchforks inside of it. So it's like a different, some type of uh
I tell you what,
some type
while
of
he's in prison,
Satanism, religious stuff. That huh?
when he's in prison and taking a shower, they want to make sure the
Uh-huh.
water is good and hot for his butt. Because he needs to be punished. He needs some good street punishment.
I'm with you. I am with you. Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, you know, one thing I noticed about these police, they always try to equate something else versus something that don't have nothing to do with the other. Like trying to find a reason, like pick a reason. Like they was pointing out her car, like, ooh, and then they kept, you know what I'm saying? It's like almost like that was a reason for them to come to the house. And they asked for ID, and I would have been like, what do you need my ID for?
Yeah, what you asking for a person? And they in
Then,
their own house. Called you. You asking for ID? Is
In
you
your own house.
crazy?
In your own house. Why did I show you my ID in my own house? I'm not out in the street. I'm in my own.
That's some silly mess, man. It's serious too.
It is
I
very
keep
serious.
telling y'all, get your damn weapons and wear them.
But my thing is, where's the reform? I mean, see, look, neither side, and see, this is how I know something was kind of up with this whole thing too. Right after this, Kamala Harris was like, they said, you know, they talked to Kamala Harris, and I guess this was some shit she wrote. They didn't, interview or nothing like that. But she was saying something about, the George Floyd's Policing Act, and I'm like, they didn't pass that when she was when Biden was in office. Why would you, see that? And I'm thinking like, see, this is kind of now they try to make it political, kind of like, why are you
But they
pushing
always
the
take things like this.
Yeah, the George
They
Floyd
always
Act?
do
What
that.
is that going? You didn't pass that last time. See, the
Look,
Democrats, they ain't taking, but see, the Republicans, nobody's really taking us seriously, man, because look at the people that's supposed to be representing us, man. They're not doing,
well,
they
here's the
get
thing,
paid off
Frank.
from these people.
They fool you with that. The federal government has no control over local police. It's the state constitution that allow those cities to exist, and that is their police department. Federal government can't tell their police department to do nothing. The only time the federal government or federal agencies get involved is when they call them in and investigate civil rights violations. They can't tell the police department what color uniform to wear, none of that stuff. And we need to put these things in their proper perspective. That's how we get messed up. Thinking that Adam's supposed to have control over this when actually it's Bill's responsibility.
You're right, but then the states ain't gonna do. You know what I mean? Especially Democrat.
It starts with that local government there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The local governments ain't even gonna, look at you just said the Democratic states are worse off.
And then you get rid of them. That's what you have to do. You get rid of them.
But you see what I'm saying? Yeah, but see, that's the whole thing too, though.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? These whole police or policy enforcers anyway, you see what I'm saying, are kind of like, should be defunct in my opinion.
That's where you need a community-based policing right there. She should have called up the neighbors. And come over and see what's going on.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what we need to start doing. I think you're right, Bianchi. There should be some watch groups.
And the police and the neighbors
amongst ourselves. That's right.
Yeah, and they should come up armed.
Right.
Showing.
They would know the lingo. They would know about I rebuke in the name of Jesus. They would know that stuff. They would have heard it. Like you say, that's part of our culture. So we wouldn't have been all ballistic over it, cussing and shooting and all that. We wouldn't have done that. Because we're used to those kind of phrases. I don't know whether they're Christian or not.
You got somebody coming into your house asking for your ID.
Yeah. You should ask for their ID.
That's the most ridiculous damn thing I ever heard in my life. That's kind of stuff that makes me pissed off.
I know that's right. Well, thank you all for coming out. I think it was just a great program tonight. I thank you all for tuning in and adding your opinion, your thoughts, your both your ideas and all the rest of that. Victor, are you still there? Victor, are you still there? I don't know. Maybe Victor left.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, Victor, are you having a program this Sunday?
Yeah, we'll try it. Try it again. I don't understand why I'm having such a difficult
Yeah,
time.
Frank, get up with Victor because he's having a lot of trouble. Now he's even downloaded the StreamYard app, so you shouldn't be no problem. Get up with him, would you?
Hell, your volume right now has got problems with it. It sounds like it's tinny,
No,
like a
because he's on my
1010.
phone. Bianca, he's on my
Oh,
phone.
oh, okay. I'm
Yeah, that's
sorry.
why he's on my phone.
But don't they want me to set up a Google account? I
No,
don't want to deal with Google.
no, I don't have. I don't use this through no Google. I don't get on through Google. I don't even use.
But
I don't
sent
use.
you that.
Yeah, I know. I saw what you sent me. Right, I don't understand it. I really don't understand what's happening. No one else has this problem. You don't have a problem with other groups even. So,
I
but
never
we're gonna
have.
figure it out.
I never have host
I
nothing
talked
like
to
that
Bernard
before.
about it. He said he don't know why, but every time I go on with Bernard, he send me the link. I go right into the studio.
Don't you have to identify a login? You just go right in.
How do you do it, Bianchi? Could you go on? You come on every time.
I logged in. I had, if I want to log in, I'll just log in with Facebook. That's
Oh,
what I do.
see what's gonna
Oh,
happen.
they ask me, it gives me a choice: Facebook, Google, or whatever.
Or YouTube.
Oh,
And
YouTube.
it says log in with YouTube, and I hit to go in with YouTube, and next thing it says it wants me to,
I don't understand it
my
because
email. Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't understand this. I don't know because everybody else. I mean, Frank's been on before. You know, Bernard's been on. I mean, Bianchi's on every single time. Nurse Dawson's been on. Even your program, Victor. I mean, I send the link and everybody gets on. I don't understand it. It's a mystery to me. Frank. Are you still here? I don't know if he is or not. I'm gonna have to get up with Frank and ask him to walk you through it again. Did I sent you the information on what to do? Did you get that long thing I sent you?
Yeah, and I looked it over and everything, and and the one thing it said was I could, if I'm using my iPhone, I could get the StreamYard app and sign in that way. That's what I did.
Yeah, because that's the way. That's the way. When I used to go on Bernard's, that's how I did it through StreamYard itself. He would send me a thing, the link, and I would go, and then it would go right to StreamYard. Then I would put in the all the information I need. They say your display name, and I would always say GW, whatever, and then I would just go right on in. And then I'd wait for the host to let me in, let me onto the studio, onto the stage. We're gonna figure this out, though. We're gonna figure this out, Victor, because that don't make any sense. I mean, you're really the only one that comes on a regular basis that that's not
Well,
able to
just
get
keep
on.
working with it until you get it right and ask questions. It shouldn't be all that difficult.
Yeah, I'm gonna even call. I'm gonna see if I can get up with StreamYard and see if I can get it that way. Because I'm gonna show them what you showed me, Victor. What you sent me. I'm glad you sent it to me. I'm gonna send it to them and say this is why you can't get on. So I'm gonna tell them you actually have StreamYard itself. So can he do it through StreamYard? And why can't he do it through StreamYard?
Yeah,
we're gonna get it together.
All right,
I mean, something's happening.
I have to go, bitch. I gotta get to a
Oh
COS.
yeah, we're through.
Oh, I'll talk to you guys later. Be careful.
Okay,
everyone.
thanks for tuning in, Bianchi. Okay, gentlemen, thank you. And we'll be talking, Victor. I'm gonna talk to you. Have a good night.
Okay. All right.